Thousands of participants descended on Dubai recently for Arab Health, the biggest summit of professionals in the region. What were the trends they were here to discuss? I'm Jeremy Lawrence, joined by Bernd Debusmann. You're watching Inside AB. So, Bernd, you were looking at Arab Health. What did you learn about the conference?
Well, one thing that comes up every year in Arab Health is Dubai's goals to become a medical tourism hub for the world. Now, what they want is to get 1.3 million medical tourists a year by 2021. And in 2016, which is the last year for which there's data available, they got 326,649. So there's still quite a way to go, but things are moving quite quickly. By 2021, there'll be an additional 10,000 medical professionals and specialists of various kinds, totaling 40,000, and there'll be about 1,000 more medical facilities of various kinds. Now, at the moment, a lot of the medical tourism is being driven by things as cosmetic surgery, weight loss surgery, but that's changing over time as more facilities come online. But I mean, one important selling point that came out at Arab Health is that Dubai is kind of a perfect location for it. You know, it's within a 4 or 5 hours flying time of a lot of places that might not necessarily have the most modern or best healthcare infrastructure in the world. So it's kind of perfect. I mean, Dubai's kind of in a perfect position, both in terms of infrastructure and location, to achieve this goal of 1.3 million a year. So things are going well in that regard.
Okay, so the usual story, build it and they will come, yeah?
Indeed.
Okay, but I think you learned that it's not just about the physical infrastructure, is it? Because there's obviously a lot more to healthcare than just building buildings.
No, what the Health Tourism Council has said is that it's like you said, it's not just about the doctors and the hospitals. It's about the experience. You know, it is Dubai after all. So what they've done is introduce something called a Dubai Health Experience, which is kind of an online portal that takes people from point A to point Z of everything they need to be a medical tourist in Dubai. Now, this could be visas, you know, finding the right specialist or facility for whatever condition that the person might be suffering from. And generally just making the whole process a lot smoother. And additionally, I thought it was interesting, it's not just medical tourism. I mean, the idea is that if you come as a medical tourist, you might as well be a normal tourist, I suppose you could say. So there's packages that, for example, you come and you have your treatment done, and then you also, for example, see the Burj Khalifa, maybe take a city tour. So it really helps the Dubai's greater tourism industry beyond the medical sector as well. And they've also introduced things, kind of a patient bill of rights, you know, a complaints procedure to establish the legislative framework that would make this possible and you know, reassure people that everything will be, they have recourse, for example, if something goes wrong.
Okay, okay. And what about the wider region and GCC in particular? Are there much moves to develop their healthcare sectors to attract outsiders?
In total, according to studies, the GCC healthcare market will be worth about 94 billion by 2021. Wow. Now, of course, the UAE is the fastest growing, and the UAE and Saudi Arabia account for the bulk of this. But across the GCC, things are happening. In the UAE in particular, it is moving much faster than in other places. There'll be a 60% increase to 28 billion by 2021. And in the private healthcare sector alone, it'll be an 8.7% yearly increase until then. So things are moving quite quickly. And for businesses that work in the healthcare sector, this presents a lot of opportunities. For example, recently NMC Healthcare, which is a UAE-based company, they acquired a $170 million stake in a cosmetic surgery, a line of cosmetic surgery facilities, and they're expanding in Saudi Arabia as well, and in Egypt. So this just kind of highlights the opportunities that are out there for companies that work in this space.
Sure, sure. I've seen doctors with better handwriting than that, by the way.
I've heard that before.
Technology is always a big one at Arab Health. What were the trends discussed this year with that regard?
Well, of course, there's innovations, kind of, you know, surgical robots, telemedicine, all these very high-tech innovations that are starting to come online. But more importantly, I think, is, you know, a lot of these changes are being driven by the youth. And in the GCC, as we all know, I mean, young people are very digitally savvy. So there's a lot of apps, you know, which is less so focused on reacting to illness, but rather it's about general wellness and preventive medicine, which is kind of a big shift from the way things have been done in the past. And like I said, it's a function of youth and, you know, the way the young people are growing up today. It's kind of a necessity to you know, for a healthcare app to be functional and accessible for everyone. So I think that was one of the major changes I found from Arab Health.
Okay, okay. So the main things that came out of this really was this growing sector. You've got this new technology attracting outsiders, and you've also got new legislation to support all that.
Yeah. So as I said, things are moving very quickly in this space, and I'm sure we'll continue to see a lot of news from medical sector in this year, especially.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Bernd Debusmann. You've been watching Inside AB. Do join us every weekday at 10 a.m. and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thanks.